There's a voice that cries out in the silence, searching for a heart that will love him, and longing for a child that will give him their all, give it all. He wants it all. And there's a God that walks over the earth, searching for a heart that is thirsty, and longing for a child that will give him their all, give it all. He wants it all. And he said, love me with your whole heart. He wants it all today. Serve me with your life now. He wants it all today. Bow down, let go of your idols. He wants it all today. He wants it all today. He wants it all today. He wants it all. And there's a God that walks over the earth, searching for a heart that is desperate, and longing for a child that will give him their all, give it all. He wants it all. And he said, love me with your whole heart. He wants it all today. Serve me with your life now. He wants it all today. Bow down, let go of your idols. He wants it all today. He wants it all today. He wants it all today. He wants it all. All of you wants it all today. All of you wants it all today. All of you wants it all today. He wants it all today. He wants it all. There's a voice that cries out in the silence, searching for a heart that will love him, and longing for a child that will give him their all, give it all. He wants it all.
Israel came closer to their promised land. As they camped overlooking the fertile valley of their soon-to-be home, God showed them the strong city of Jericho. It was a fortified city with big, thick walls that prevented enemy soldiers from capturing it. For Israel to take possession of the land, this city had to be destroyed. Once again, God raised up a strong and courageous leader named Joshua. God told him to take charge of the people of Israel and lead them into the promised land. Joshua secretly sent 2 spies to scout out the land and the city. They were to report back to him. This would give him great information on which he could plan their attack. God told Joshua to put the armed men in front, followed by the priests blowing their trumpets and the Ark of the Covenant. At the back, another guard of soldiers were to stand. All these people were then to march around Jericho once a day for 6 days. The trumpets would blow, but the people were not allowed to make any noise, not even a word. Then, on the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times, and on Joshua's signal, shout as loud as they could. On the morning of the 7th day, Joshua, the army, the priests, and the people did exactly as the Lord commanded. On their 7th circle around the city, Joshua gave the signal, and the people erupted in shouts. Their yelling was met with a huge rumble as the city walls of Jericho began to break apart and tumble down. They burned the city to the ground, but kept all the gold and silver and placed it into the treasury of the Lord. They did, however, spare the lives of Rahab and her family, since Rahab helped the Israelite spies when they came to scout out the city. Once again, God gave the Israelites victory. A curse was placed on the city, and to this day, the walls of Jericho have never been rebuilt.
As the Israelites fought to take the land promised to them by God, the people who still lived there shook in fear, knowing they would soon be destroyed. One of the mighty cities in this new land was so afraid they tricked Israel into making a deal for peace. They would do anything to stay alive. It wasn't long before the king of Jerusalem heard about this tricky deal, and he wasn't happy. He wanted to destroy Gibeon and weaken Israel. So he joined forces with 4 other kings, and they gathered with all of their troops to attack Gibeon. When the Gibeonites found out about what the 5 Amorite kings were planning against them, they sent word to Joshua, "Do not leave your servants to fight alone. Come quickly and save us from the Amorite kings who have joined forces against us. Please help us." So Joshua marched up with his entire army, including all of his best fighting men. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them. I've already given them into your hands so that not one of them will be able to stand against you." After an all-night march from Gilgal, Joshua and his troops quickly caught up with the Amorite kings and surprised them in an attack. Just as God promised, he was with the Israelites. As their enemies ran for their lives, Israel chased them with weapons, and God dropped huge hailstones on them. In fact, more of them died from hailstones than from the swords of the Israelites. Joshua and his men did not want to quit fighting until the Amorites were completely defeated, but they were running out of time. So Joshua went to the Lord before all of Israel and asked for a miracle. "Please," he pleaded with the Lord, "make the sun and the moon to stand still over Gibeon." And the Lord answered the prayer of Joshua. God caused the moon and the sun to stop moving. This was an amazing display of God's power over his creation. Surely, the Lord was with Joshua, and he fought for Israel.